All right, here's what leads on the South African morning at 8 o'clock. Family and friends will bid a final farewell to struggle veteran Aziz Pahad this morning. President Cyril Ramaphosa has granted him a special official funeral category 2.
Well, the former Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister died on Wednesday at the age of 82. President Ramaphosa has directed that flags be flown at half-mast around the country. That's until this evening. Senior reporters Silindelo, Masikane and Siphamandla Goge are there and they join us now. Siphamandla, let's perhaps start with you. As we heard, this is now the third brother that the family has lost. Dignitaries are busy arriving. What's the latest on the ground?
Indeed, sad for the family if you take into account that they've suffered these back-to-back losses. They have lost their loved ones, siblings passing away, just months apart. Where we are at the cemetery, final preparations are underway. My colleague Tammy Kamane will come with me. You see that police van or car, because police will be playing a leading role here, as this is the official funeral category 2 that has been accorded in honor of the late Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs. My line has dropped. I'm not sure if you can still hear me, but if you are still with me, we are taking you inside this marquee. This is where the official program for this funeral will be taking place. You see officials from the protocol and the presidency are busy with final preparations, the South African flags, the podiums, the stage and everything being set to ensure that it's all systems go for when the President of the Republic of South Africa gets here. This is the official funeral category 2, so therefore protocol officials will be busy trying to ensure that everything is in order, so that once the program gets underway, everything is sorted. So this will be the setup. Tammy will show you on the other side. This will be the setup where dignitaries will be sitting. Members of the Presidential Protection Services are here to ensure that they do their security sweep. We are expecting President Ramaphosa to deliver the eulogy, to eulogize the departed former Foreign Affairs Deputy Minister. We expect former presidents, former President Thabo Mbeki and former President Kgalema Motlanthe, to come here and pay their respects in bidding final farewell to the departed former Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Aziz Pahad. You will see further up there a bus belonging to the South African police is also here, because police will be playing a leading role here since this is the official funeral category 2. So these are the final preparations and logistics that are underway. I'm trying to get my colleague Tammy to come with me so that we go down this way. We want to show you where some police officers have set up, where they will be operating. More and more of them are still arriving, but the gravesite where Aziz Pahad will be laid to rest, and if my memory serves me well, as we will be walking down to that gravesite there, bear with us, the sun here makes it difficult to work. Tammy will have to adjust his lens in line with the exposure in and outside of this marquee. So if you see him fiddling with his shots, it's just that we want to give you the best visuals here. I think Aziz Pahad will be laid to rest next to Yasmin Jesse Duarte, the former Deputy Secretary General of the governing African National Congress. This is the setup, this is the gravesite, this is the layout. Just next to Jesse Duarte there is Hugh Masekela. This is where eminent South Africans, people of distinguished character, those who would have played a leading role in various aspects of South African life, be it arts, culture, sports, politics, business, judiciary, anyone who has made his contribution to the life of this South African nation is accorded a status of being laid to rest here. A number of well-known South Africans are having this as their final resting place, and Aziz Pahad, one of the longest-serving deputy ministers in this country from 1994 to 2008, will be laid to rest here. So President Ramaphosa will deliver the eulogy, but other than that, we expect that former Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma, who worked for a very long time with Mr. Aziz Pahad, will also be delivering a message of support and condolences. Remember, she was the Minister of Foreign Affairs when Aziz Pahad was the deputy, so she knows Aziz Pahad very well. And Ambassador Welly Lenhlapo, who has represented South Africa in international and global bodies, will also be delivering a message here, paying tribute to one of the distinguished diplomats. So diplomatic corps, members of the diplomatic community, those dealing with diplomacy, foreign policy, will be paying their final farewell, or rather final tribute, and bidding farewell to the departed struggle stalwart who made a contribution when it comes to the liberation of this country. So that's the current situation at this cemetery where Aziz Pahad will be laid to rest. Tragic indeed, if you take into account that his family has had to deal with another loss following the passing of his two brothers just in a couple of months' time apart.
And Sipa, that was Esop and Zunaid Pahad. Zunaid Pahad being the youngest. And Sli, let me come to you. You are, of course, in Saxon World, outside the family home. You are with Nokumalaji, giving us the visuals that you've been giving us. Of course, we know how important these brothers have been to former President Thabo Mbeki. He was not in the country when his friend and comrade passed away. Are you hearing that he'll be there today?
Well, we have spoken to the family spokesperson, who has indicated that we are expecting former President Thabo Mbeki to be in attendance. We understand he had been traveling and is actually trying to make it back for this funeral. We know just how close they were, and like you said, I am outside the family home where the remains have actually arrived. We know that there is a program that the family is going to lead inside the home, where we're going to expect prayers. This is before his remains are taken to the West Park Cemetery. But I want to bring in my guests. I am joined by the ANC Regional Secretary in Johannesburg, Mr. Sasabone Manganye. Thank you so much for your time. Perhaps, you know, this is, of course, a huge loss for the movement. Maybe talk to me about the impact Mr. Pahad had in the ANC.
Yeah, look, you are talking about an anti-apartheid stalwart, not just the stalwart of the ANC, the stalwart that fought for social justice, a stalwart who got involved in the struggle, you know, to liberate the people of South Africa at a younger age, you know, through your Transvaal Indian Youth Congress. He was part of the Youth League of the ANC in the early 50s. He joined the African National Congress. He was an internationalist. You know, even during the apartheid days, he spent some time in Europe organizing against apartheid. He was part of the student movement. And also the South African Communist Party. So you are talking about an all-rounder who is a true representation and the embodiment of the core values of the ANC, whom today, you know, we will be paying our last respect. It's a very serious loss, you know, to the African National Congress.
Perhaps what lessons do we learn from the life that he led?
There are a number of lessons that we learn from the life that he led, you know, selfless leadership, humility, you know, a leader who led without necessarily expecting anything. Even all the deployments which the ANC assigned him, the responsibilities in the ANC, the responsibilities even in the state, those were responsibilities that were assigned to him on the basis of the fact that he was, you know, fit for purpose. You know, however, he did not struggle to expect such kind of things. You know, he's one leader that I think many of us as the young generation, we have a lot to learn from, you know. So it's a very serious loss to us and our generation. You know.
Thank you so much for your time. All right, that is the ANC's Regional Secretary. I want to bring in my second guest now. That is the brother-in-law to Mr. Pahad, Mr. Parek. Thank you so much for your time, and our deepest condolences to you and your family.
Thank you very much.
Just talk me through this week, the preparations, perhaps how your sister is doing.
You know, it's been a tough, not only the last week, but the last 7 months, but obviously the last 10 days has been pretty stressful. But Mr. Pahad was a fighter.
Yeah.
He was an absolute fighter. He's given us scares in the past, and he refused to let go, neither did we. My sister's hung in there, and she's always had this positive attitude, and we believed he would pull through, but in the end, it was a bit tough. I know certainly the last 5 or 6 days, there was a gradual decline in his health, and he passed away very peacefully, which was very great with his wife and his family all around him. And it's been tough. It will take time for her to adjust, but fortunately she's surrounded by wonderful family and friends on both sides of the family, the Pahads, the Parek's, and she's strong.
Yeah.
She's strong. She'll get through the event, yeah.
Mr. Parek, we know Mr. Pahad as the politician, the struggle stalwart. We don't know the family man. How difficult was it for the family to share him with South Africans, given the fact that he had to go into exile and the difficulties around having somebody who was so invested in the politics of this country?
5 words. He was just a good human being. And, he would give time to any person that, if you spoke to him, he'd give you his undivided attention. And you never, ever felt you were sharing him with anyone. He was just great. He was warm, gracious, hospitable. And you never felt that you weren't getting all of him.
Yeah.
And it made it very easy, and he was just a fallible person, and, it was never a problem. It was never a problem.
Yeah.
And, just something, if you ever had a conversation with him, you would walk out feeling good about yourself or just positive. There was never any negative energy with him, so it was easy.
What would you like South Africans then to remember about him, and what lessons do you want South Africans to take from his life?
I'm not going to talk about the political aspect, because, but from a personal, like I said, he was just a good human being, always positive, always gave his full attention to anyone, absolute humility. And I think these are the qualities every person should ascribe to. And he was just a fantastic person.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, I'm going to let you go now. I do know you have a program inside. Thank you so much. That is the brother-in-law to Mr. Pahad. That is Mr. Parek, who of course is the brother to Mr. Pahad's wife. And as you can see in front of you, that we have more and more family members arriving. Like I said, that the remains have been taken inside the home, and we are expecting a short program to unfold inside the family home. Security officials have already started surrounding this particular street that we're on here in Saxonwold, preparing to escort the convoy to West Park Cemetery. Let's just take a listen to what the family spokesperson had to say to us earlier.
Aziz, as I knew him, not as a deputy minister, but he was someone who expressed warmth, was a loving person, always approachable. Many journalists who I've spoken to, especially in that early period of 1994 leading to 2009, talk about how he was always approachable, ensured that journalists were treated with utter respect. There's no doubt that Aziz played a significant role in developing the policies of a democratic South Africa with respect to international affairs and foreign policy. So these are, the family. He has had a prolonged illness, so the family have had time to accommodate.
Right, those were our senior reporter. Silindelo Masikane was in Saxonwold for us outside the Pahad home. Siphamandla Goge waiting for the family to make its way to the West Park Cemetery.
The family, of course, reminding us that he was more than just a politician. He was a good human being. Good to hear that we still have some of those around, eh? Good human being. He, of course, died on the 27th of September at his home here in Johannesburg, surrounded by his loved ones. Important to just once again send our condolences. He was survived by his wife, Gina, his brother, Nassim, his sons, Sam and Zayden, and his granddaughter, Bethan.
And I think what's important for me, from what the Johannesburg Regional Secretary said, he at least doesn't own Aziz Pahad. He clearly put it that he's not an ANC freedom stalwart. He's a South African freedom stalwart, somebody who fought for South Africa, not the ANC. Well, let's go to our view.